Up here on Cedar Flat, all the way down to Cedar Bayou, this whole area. All this area here has been pretty good for us here in the last week. Again, we've had plenty of water that's been pushed in here, and it's been holding for us, so it's been a good thing. Plenty of bait working up in here, lots of good grass. The biggest thing for us is we have gotten out of those 3 tough months of June, July, and August where we are battling heat, which we're still battling heat, still becoming a factor for us. Water temps are still pretty warm for the most part, but again, with the extra water that we've had in here and it holding, temperatures have gotten as bad as what they were back in August and June and July. So, and then of course you can work all the way up here to the mouth of Cedar and all the way up toward the Gulf there if you so choose. But the areas we've been covering, we've been fishing the drop that's out here. We've been covering the grass against the shoreline there. All that's come into play. That whole area all up and down here, great bottom. If you fished this area before, you know exactly what I'm talking about. All that there's lots of opportunity that's up and down in this area here. Lots of good grass, potholes. What's main thing that's been good, topwater bite has been pretty good for the most part. Still getting great opportunities with that early on. If you just want to stick with it, if you're a topwater junkie and you want to just keep chunking and keep chunking and keep chunking, you'll get your opportunities. Well, that's pretty much what's been happening this past week. We've gotten plenty of opportunities with our topwater baits. Now, we're still hanging in there till mid-morning, 10-ish, 10:30-ish, maybe 11, and then getting off the water, because after that, pretty much trout bites dying off to the most part, if not even before that, depending on when the majors and minors are taking place. If you're hunting redfish, then yeah, you probably can stay out there a little longer if you so choose. But the optimal time frame for us has been 6:15-ish, 6:30 till 10:45, 11 o'clock. We've found and locate fish during that time frame and maximize our opportunities. We've had some pretty efficient days of catching and releasing majority of our fish, so there's been lots of good trips. Outside of the topwater bait, the burner shad's been very good for us. We're fixing to be into the new moon phase really quick here, probably the next day, if not already. We'll be in that time frame, so you really need to maximize that. And again, a lot of your profile sizes, you can pretty much anything's open. If you want to throw bigger baits right now, that's fine. You can do that. If you want to throw a supermodel like Down South has, or if you want to throw the original, or if you want to throw a soft dine or a mirror dine, whatever, those have all be good. The knock and tail as well, in that 4-inch or 5-inch if you so choose. Pretty much we have been throwing burners in the original size. Haven't thrown a lot of supermodels in the Down South, but one color has kind of come to the forefront for us in the last few days, and that's been Bone Diamond. Whether it be in the original size or the burner size or even the supermodel size, the Bone Diamond color has been very, very productive for us this past week. So that might be something that you want to keep in your box moving forward as we get into the cooler months of fall. Even though it's not showing itself, we're September's here. We're moving toward the middle part of it. October's not too far along, and then November's right there. So you got the cooler months ahead, and another flavor that will become, if not already, haven't thrown it very much, is the white ice. That's another one as well that will be another flavor that will be pretty good moving into these cooler months. Like I say, in the burner shad, the Bone Diamond has been, or in the original, the Bone Diamond has been very productive for us the last few days. Of course, the Big Papa, Twisted Tea, Purple Rain, all those flavors, the flavors that we've thrown for a while have all been good. But the Bone Diamond has been very good for us, really, really good. So in the knock and tail, it's been the heavy metal, the greenback, Rogue has been the same flavors we've been throwing for a while, and they're still consistent, still catching fish with those particular sizes. 4-inch, 3-inch flavors is what we've kind of narrowed down to, and really been very productive with those. Caught a lot of different kinds of fish with that, flounder, redfish, trout. Everything's been very good, whether it's been in a new moon phase or a transition phase, or whether it's been a full moon phase. Of course, in the full moon, we're keeping them a little bit smaller, we're keeping more of the burner shad size, but has been very good for us consistently, even in the other time frames as well. Working the grass line edges, working the potholes, working shorelines, all the areas that we're focusing on right now, especially with the extra water that's in here. So make sure that you're paying attention to what those tides are doing. Make sure that you incorporate your majors and minors into those time frames, and get your opportunities that will come in there in those time frames. Again, we're still using a 16th ounce jig head, really slow descent, just kind of bouncing that thing along there, just keeping it just above the grass line edge or just on those drops or edges or whatever that you're liking to fish structurally. Again, grass is the key. Been still working shale because the water temps continue to kind of hover around that upper 80s area to that point like that. Depending on the type of day that we have, it may get up a little bit warmer, but we've had pretty good success with that. So again, make sure that you pay attention to your majors and minors and what's going on with your tides. Weather-wise, we're probably going to start having some different weather patterns move in here on us, so make sure you keep an eye on those at least 10 days out, and all that kind of stuff that you're out there on the water. Locate and find your fish, looking for your bait areas. Plenty of baits in this water. That is not a problem whatsoever, and just kind of be patient with these fish. Again, with the new sizes, or we've gone, not new, but we've gone back to the original size of 15 to 25 on trout. Of course, redfish never changed, flounder never changed, black drum haven't changed, but we've been catching those 15s to 17s, 17 and a half to 18s in the trout for a little bit. But now that you can keep them at 15, that makes your days a little bit more easy as far as if you're wanting to target trout and find and keep that size for you. So again, just work that medium sized bait to the smaller bait. Soft dines again has been pretty good for us. Another bait, the Double D, has been pretty good for us as well. But again, the main flavor here in the past 5 to 6 days has been the bone diamond. The Mite, Paul's Mite area, Long Reef Bend, one of my favorite areas to fish. Just gives you lots of opportunity, lots of different things that you can do in these areas. You've got back lake mouths that dump out there. You've got guts. You've got edges. You've got all kinds of different kind of structure. This has been very good for us. Whether you got lower water or higher water, it doesn't matter. This whole area all the way up to, say, Jaybird Point and all the way back down towards Spalding. All this area here, this whole shoreline, man, you've got such great opportunities that are up and down these shorelines. Grass has been very good for us. The amount of bait that's working up and down these shorelines has been good. When we've had a little influx of water, you could even jump into some of these back lakes and you can be very productive with it because we've had higher tides, and it's helpful. It's been very good. So we've kind of been maximizing our opportunities back in some of those types of areas. So just pay attention to that kind of thing. If you like to get out here and wade these outer edges like that, that's good. Fish the guts, fish the mouths of some of these places. And that's even over back toward Allen's as well if you want to do it that way. But, get into Sherman's, this whole little back lake that's here. This is another one of the areas I love to fish because it opens you up to lots of different things. Topwater bite back in these areas has been very good. We've had some really good opportunities, whether it be trout, whether it be redfish. We've gotten those opportunities with our topwater bait. So some of these mornings we just we'll have a couple of different people or individuals, whatever, throw some plastics, one on a burner, one on a supermodel, somebody throwing a suspended bait to some sort like a Double D or something like that, and somebody throwing a topwater bait if you got that many people with you or more. So we can kind of locate fish a little bit easier and see what they're really liking. I love throwing the topwater. Just love the action of the topwater bait. Just love the explosion of the topwater bait whenever stuff like that takes place. It's really just a ton of fun. Sometimes you have to go a little longer locating and finding fish with those particular types of baits, but that's all right. It's the juice is absolutely worth the squeeze on a topwater bait, that's for sure. Work on the outer edges like that. Again, tides are a big deal, especially we're fixing to move into our fall months here in another month or two. Like I say, we're about halfway through September, and it'll disappear on you in a hurry. Well, it'll go away real fast. We'll be into October before you know it, and hopefully we'll have a little bit cooler weather. We'll have some fronts that will start pushing down at some point in here, probably within the next 45 days, I would imagine that we'll probably start to experience some stuff like that, which that'll help our fishing and catching abilities in and around some of these areas like that. It'll help maybe fire these fish up. When we had that little tropical depression back a few weeks ago, that little influx of water really stimulated our estuaries and the fish completely, made a huge difference for us. So kind of we're looking for something like that again, is to help stimulate these fish to want to get into that feeding mode for us. So, working these edges like that, working the guts, working over your grass line edges with all the different types of bait, whether it be topwater bait, whether it be the down south and the original, or the burner shad, or even the supermodel, the knock and tail, and all the 4-inch, the 3-inch, the 5-inch, whatever they have, whatever you like to throw with that, that's a good thing. Marker 54, the jerk shrimp, still consistent for us. We don't stick with it as much. Sometimes we'll work it and be fine with it. Like I say, we'll catch fish with it. But we, primarily throwing plastics more than anything else. But there's just different options for you. So it just kind of depends on what you like, what you want to do with that. Another thing about the jerk shrimp, man, you can tie that thing up underneath the popping cork and really bang away on some of these maybe a little bit deeper potholes if that's the style of fishing that you like. If you have thrown bait in the past and you're trying to transition over to the artificial world, that's a great bait to start with, and it kind of helps you. It's pretty much the same action, except you just don't have to worry about piggies or pin perch eating off the legs of it and killing it, so it'll stay as long as you want it to be on there. So that's the great thing about throwing artificials. You don't have to deal with all that kind of stuff bait wise. But great alternative if you want to try that at some point. Again, working down into Spalding, working these back lake mouths that are here with the influx of water and the tides and stuff in our areas, we've been able to get into some areas we haven't been able to in a little bit, and it's been very productive for us. St. Charles Bay, right across from the boat ramp there. In St. Charles, a little 2-holer. Just go straight across on the shoreline here, work all this shoreline. If you've done that before, which I'm sure many of you have, if you like St. Charles Bay. I like St. Charles Bay more so in the wintertime, once the water temps get a little bit cooler, just to get away from the big old lizards that are out there. There's plenty of alligators are in and around St. Charles Bay. If you fish there, you know this. So we kind of pick and choose the days that we wade up into these areas. So right across from the boat ramp, all the way up to Egg Point, all the way around to Boy Scout Camp, Little Devil Bayou, Big and Little Sharp, all those areas up there, Cow Chip, Cavasso Creek, the west shoreline there that's up there in St. Charles. All these particular areas have had and held some fish and produced fish. Some days better than others. Sometimes we've had to move a couple of times to locate and find, but for the most part, on any one of those areas that I just got through mentioning, we've located some fish at any particular time on those areas. Again, the thing about St. Charles, it's not a super deep little estuary, but it's got lots of great little nooks and crannies and stuff that can hold fish and have fish that are holding in some of these areas, and it makes it really good. A lot of diversity there in St. Charles. You got a lot of different types of structure, bottoms in there, some harder, some softer. You got a little shell more so up in the front, more mud and grass and stuff toward the back, middle ways. So we've kind of maximized all our opportunities in around these areas. So again, topwater baits have been good. All three sizes in the down south, flavor-wise, Big Papa, Bone Diamond has been very good for us. Twisted Tea, White Ice. Like I said, we haven't thrown the White Ice as much as what we've been throwing the Bone Diamond because it's been very productive for us. But your other flavors, Salt Sassy's been good. Texas Roach has been pretty good. There's been lots of flavors, mainly because of our water's been just a tad bit dirtier in here because we had some pretty decent winds in the afternoons. It's kind of churned it up a little bit and kept it dirty or a little bit more off color. So we've been throwing the darker baits in there and in and around some of these areas, and it's been very good. So we've located some fish in just about all these areas that we've just talked about. You can get up here on this far shoreline, like you're going to head down here to Cow Chip, all this area here, this whole shoreline that comes up into here, this whole point area here. All this has been okay. There's not been any one particular area that I mentioned that was just been dynamite, but it's been consistent. And that's what you want. And we get our opportunities, and that's the whole main thing is what you want, just looking for those opportunities to catch your fish. Again, 16th ounce jig heads, working these areas back in here, just letting that bait slow descent for you. Just take your time, be patient with it. Like I say, you'll work through and find some fish. We've been very consistent with that. Again, the majors and minors been very productive for us. In outside of those time frames, it's not been as productive. You're scratching after those time frames kind of pass. So it's just something to pay attention to. If you don't pay attention to the majors and minors, you're doing yourself a disservice, because it's a very productive time frame for us. So that's our main points of emphasis, especially wading, throwing artificials, is those majors and minors for us. And then, of course, like I say, in between those time frames, we can scratch fish out here or there. But again, continue to work these areas like this. Same type of structure. If you know the structure where you've caught some fish, if you're going to move to another area, think about the structure that you want to go to, because fish will patternize for you. And if you find an area where you've caught fish, think about that before you move to the next location and find the same type of area. And more than likely, you're going to find fish over that type of structure, bait source, and everything else that's in that area, whether it be in St. Charles, Copano, Aransas Bay, Mesquite, doesn't matter. Just think about the same type of pattern where you've caught fish at your first stop, and incorporate that into your second or third stops if you so choose. But again, down south, all three sizes, knock and tail mainly, the 4-inch, jerk shrimp and marker 54 have all been productive for us. Double D's been pretty good. Topwater bait's been fun. Like I say, I like to throw the topwater bait just because I like the reaction and see the explosion take place. So you may not want to throw the topwater as much, but it's just something I love to do. It's just a lot of fun to watch it happen. Great experience if you haven't done it very much. Incorporate it into your fishing time frame even more so. Again, majors and minors, key thing. Weather patterns are going to be changing on us here over the next few weeks, so always keep an eye on that weather and see what's going on with that. You don't ever put yourself in a bad situation out on the water. Fish will be there the next day. So anyway, safety is always an important thing. Just continue to work these areas as we move into our fall months, and we look forward to bigger and better opportunities as they come.